Gun Galleria here. What we have today is one of Eugene Stoner's other inventions. Everybody's, familiar with AR-15s and the AR platform, and that Eugene was one of the originators of that platform. This was another one. Now, this is an Armalite AR-7. This is an AR-7 Explorer. Now, this is one of the original survival rifles. This is not the later ones you find from Henry or Charter. Charter Arms actually got this design after Armalite, stopped making them. So there's been a few companies that have made these. Now, the original company, Armalite, made this one, which is an AR-7. So the first thing you'll note is the stock is that mottled, kind of swirled multicolor plastic. So this is what the earlier ones look like. This particular one, based upon serial number, probably dates to around 1962. And for being that age, it's in quite good condition. One of the things that people do need to look out for when you're looking at these is whether or not the plastic is cracked anywhere. A lot of times that was happening because of being over tightened. This is how you tighten the action on the bottom, is this will screw into the bottom of the receiver when you have it out. Now, you see, you got your Armalite Costa Mesa, California, AR-7 Explorer, patents pending. The Armalite ones were considered some of the best made ones. The current Henry ones are probably extremely well made as well. But there's statements of quality control issues with the Charter ones after they started making them instead of Armalite. So in these rifles, I'm sure you've seen plenty of these. You take the butt pad kind of cover off, and all of your pieces are still in here. So you stow away things like your magazine. Now this model only came with one magazine, and there is nowhere else to put a second one. Your barrel. And this one is aluminum with the steel sleeve, and it's marked for Armalite 22 long rifle. These are known to only like high velocity rounds. Do not try to use any lower velocity rounds in them, and only use long rifle. And then there's the receiver, the action, trigger group, everything, and your safety. Of course, you have your Armalite AR-7 Explorer logo. Again, Costa Mesa, California, USA, patents pending, and then your serial number. And this one being an 85,000 serial puts it, like I said, around 1962, 1963. So when you're looking at all the gun, I mean, this is it here, So assembly, if you've had a survival rifle, you basically know how these go together. Nothing's really changed too much in all the decades that they've produced these. Tighten that down. Over tightening can create risks of cracking in the plastic. Magazine. And your barrel has this here, which will slide into that notch there. Press it in. Tighten it down. Bolt handle comes out. it's ready to go. This is not designed to, stick out in any particular way and be locked in a position. One thing to note, though, is that when the barrel is off, this doesn't just slide in and out as easily, because the spring tension pushes it forward, so it is actually held in by pressure against the edge here. You take your plate back on. There you go. It's ready to go, ready to shoot. You, of course, have safety. And to remove the magazine, there's this lever here, which you can see exposed on this side. And when it's pushed forward, magazine will come out. Very simple, basic design that was very functional. This, of course, has the peep sight on the back. Now, this is the earliest ones, which they only have the one aperture. Some of the later ones apparently had two different ones that could be adjusted. And I noted on this that there are two spots of blue paint here and here to help you identify when it was, because if you loosen this will slide up and down. Okay. But these two dots, which I'm not sure if the previous owner put those there or if it's factory, was to indicate where the elevation was just right on the rear. As you see, you have a ribbed section up there, and right back to the aperture. Front blade sight has some red paint on it still, and this one's in very good condition. The only thing I've noted on this thing that is somewhat, different is back here at the buttstock. Over time, I'm guessing this plastic has stretched some or something. There's a ridge that goes around inside, and that's supposed to go into this groove. I guess at some point, either through wear or time or stretching or whatever, it must have stretched a little bit. So the owner previously put in a piece of black duct tape. Well, I mean, it works. Does what it's supposed to. Holds it on. No rattle, doesn't come off, nothing. So it's doing a good job. It's doing what it's supposed to. But yeah, these are an interesting rifle. Now, one of the things to note as well is that when you're taking this down, if it's, the molding inside the buttstock is in such a way that it doesn't matter if it's in safe or fire for your safety, it'll fit in there perfectly fine. But of course, your magazine can only fit in there one way. So disassembly, it's just reverse. Remove barrel. Unscrew the bolt from the bottom of the action. Open it up. And this is actually kind of a foam-filled, plastic-lined, foam-filled interior, which is, of course, what helped make these buoyant so that they would float. And there's indication that people feel as though these earlier ones actually floated better than the later ones. Now, see, this is what I mean about the magazine. It can only go in one way. See how it's angled that way? If you turn it around, it'll go in nice and flush. Now, it doesn't matter if it's the rounds first or the bottom first that goes in there. It'll fit fine either way. And of course, you take your action, which of course, like I said, now that there's pressure forward here, that's held in. Slides in. Stock back, cover back on, and there you go. A buoyant survival rifle. I believe this has the 8-round magazine, which I believe was the original. The magazines for these are not marked, and from what I've read, the newer magazines, if you have one of these older ones, the newer magazines will not fit it. You have to have the correct magazines to make it function properly. But yeah, it's an interesting piece. Very cleverly designed, very simple, and very useful. You know, obviously the survival rifle wasn't necessarily intended for you to have to, you know, fight off the enemy. It was designed for being able to, you know, take down small game, rabbits and things like that, to be able to survive long enough to be rescued. It is a 22, so you're not necessarily going to take anything large down. It's going to be squirrels and rabbits and such. But it's very practical for that. So I appreciate you watching, and I hope to bring you another interesting firearm soon.